Step into a 1960s Canadian kitchen where the air hums with the scent of butter, sugar, and warm pastry. These desserts weren't just sweets, they were family, tradition, and Canada's heart. Today, we're counting down 25 lost desserts from the 50s to the 80s that deserve a comeback. Let's dive in. Number 1. Butter tarts. Canada's ultimate dessert. Butter tarts were the undisputed kings of the 50s and 60s Canadian kitchens, from rural Ontario to small-town Alberta. A flaky, hand-rolled pastry shell held a gooey, buttery filling made with butter, brown sugar, eggs, and often a splash of vinegar or maple syrup for extra depth. Every family had its own fiercely guarded recipe, debated at reunions. Some added raisins for a chewy sweetness, others pecans for a nutty crunch, while purists insisted on a plain, runny filling. Cooks would roll out dough on flour-dusted counters using cherished rolling pins passed down through generations, and mix the filling in chipped ceramic bowls. The oven's warmth spreading a sweet, buttery aroma through the house. Baked until the pastry was golden and the filling slightly caramelized, they were served at fairs, holidays, Sunday suppers, and even roadside bakeries where they were sold in wax paper bags. An Ontario classic with pioneer roots, butter tarts are now a symbol of Canadian identity. Their crisp pastry snap and warm, drippy filling a nostalgic delight. Every bite, with its rich, sugary center that often stuck to your chin, was a taste of Canada's heart, evoking memories of family kitchens, summer picnics, and the simple joy of sharing a homemade treat. Number 2. Nanaimo bars. This no-bake treat from Nanaimo, British Columbia, was a 50s potluck legend, beloved across Canada for its decadent layers. A crumbly base of coconut, nuts, and graham crumbs was topped with a creamy, vanilla-flavored custard layer and a glossy chocolate topping, creating a dessert that was both rich and balanced. Moms would press the base into square pans, often using their hands to ensure an even layer, then spread the custard with a spatula and melt chocolate over a double boiler for the final touch. The kitchen would smell like a candy shop, with the sweet aroma of coconut and chocolate drawing kids to the counter. A true Canadian original, it was served at community gatherings, school events, and family parties, its distinct layers making it a visual and flavorful standout. The crack of the chocolate, the velvety custard, and the chewy, nutty base were pure indulgence, evoking memories of crowded potluck tables, friendly competitions over whose recipe was best, and the pride of BC's coastal heritage. Number 3. Figgy duff. Newfoundland steamed pudding was a Sunday dinner favorite in the 60s, made with raisins, called figs locally, and served with a sticky molasses or rum sauce. The pudding was mixed with flour, sugar, and spices like cinnamon and nutmeg, then packed into a cotton bag or pudding mold and steamed for hours in a pot of boiling water. Cooks would tie the bag with twine, checking the simmering pot as the kitchen filled with a warm, spiced aroma that mingled with the scent of roasting meat from Sunday dinner. Often served with a drizzle of dark, bittersweet molasses or a boozy rum sauce, it was a Newfoundland classic with British and Irish roots, appearing at family gatherings and holiday feasts. The dense, moist texture, studded with sweet raisins, and the rich, sticky sauce made it a comforting end to hearty meals, evoking memories of weathered fishing villages, warm kitchens, and the sound of waves crashing nearby. Number 4. Sucre à la crème. Quebec's buttery, sugary fudge was a Christmas staple, beloved in the 50s and 60s for its rich, melt-in-your-mouth texture. Made with cream, brown sugar, and a touch of butter, it was cooked in heavy pots until it reached the perfect creamy consistency, then beaten vigorously to achieve its signature grainy texture. Cooks would test the mixture with a candy thermometer or drop a bit into cold water, watching for the softball stage, while the kitchen filled with a warm, caramelized aroma. Cut into tiny, addictive squares, it was served at holiday parties, tucked into gift tins, or shared at church bazaars, often wrapped in wax paper. A French-Canadian classic, it was a winter treat tied to Quebec's festive traditions. Its sweet, velvety flavor, a taste of snowy evenings and cozy celebrations. Every bite was a reminder of family kitchens, crackling fires, and the joy of holiday sharing. Number 5. Canadian trifle. This layered dessert was a 50s holiday centerpiece across Canada, from small-town Ontario to urban Calgary. Made with sherry-soaked sponge cake, thick custard, fresh fruit like raspberries or strawberries, and a generous topping of whipped cream. It was served in sparkling crystal bowls that gleamed under dining room chandeliers. Hostesses would bake the sponge cake in advance, slicing it into thin layers, then soak it with sherry and layer it with homemade custard and local jams, often made from berries picked in summer. The trifle was chilled for hours, allowing the flavors to meld into a rich, boozy medley. A British import adapted with Canadian ingredients, it was a festive favorite at Christmas and Easter. Its vibrant layers and creamy texture, a highlight of family gatherings. The soft, sherry-infused cake and the smooth, fruit-studded custard made every spoonful a celebration, evoking memories of holiday feasts, laughter, and the warmth of togetherness. Number 6. Lady Ashburnham Pickles. This quirky New Brunswick treat was a mustardy, sweet tart pickle spread, a 70s oddity that added a zesty twist to dessert tables or tea time spreads. Made with cucumbers, sugar, vinegar, and a generous dose of mustard, it was simmered in heavy pots until thick, then jarred in mason jars that lined pantry shelves in maritime homes. Named after a local figure, Lady Ashburnham, it was a regional specialty, often slathered on fresh bread or served alongside cakes and scones at church teas or community suppers. Cooks would chop cucumbers by hand, their kitchens filled with the sharp tang of vinegar and the warm spice of mustard seeds. The spread's crunchy texture and bold, sweet-sour flavor made it a unique addition to meals, evoking memories of East Coast ingenuity, bustling church halls, and the pride of sharing homemade preserves with neighbors. Number 7. Lemon Snow, a fluffy, lemony mousse-like dessert. This was a summer favorite in British Columbia during the 70s, especially in coastal towns like Victoria or Kelowna. Made by whipping egg whites with lemon juice, zest, and sugar, it was chilled until it formed a light, frothy texture, then served with buttery, homemade shortbread cookies. Cooks would beat the mixture by hand with a wire whisk, their kitchens filled with the bright, citrusy scent of fresh lemons, often picked from backyard trees. The shortbread was rolled out on marble slabs, cut into delicate rounds and baked whole until golden, adding a rich, crumbly contrast to the airy dessert. A West Coast twist on British lemon desserts, it was perfect for warm evenings on patios or seaside picnics. Its tart, refreshing flavor and melt-away texture, evoking memories of sunny days, crashing waves, and the simple joy of summer gatherings with friends. Number 8. Charlotte Russe. This creamy, sherry-spiked dessert was a 60s showstopper in urban Canadian homes from Montreal to Victoria. Ladyfingers were soaked in sherry and arranged around a tall mold, encircling a rich, velvety custard made with cream, eggs, and a touch of gelatin. Hostesses would assemble it with care, chilling it for hours until it set, then unmolding it to gasps at holiday parties or dinner gatherings. The kitchen would hum with the soft scent of sherry and vanilla. The ladyfingers carefully placed to create a stunning, tiered effect. A French-inspired treat adopted by Anglo-Canadian elites, it was a symbol of sophistication, often served on fine china with silver spoons. The soft, boozy sponge and the smooth, decadent custard made every bite a luxurious experience, evoking memories of elegant dining rooms, clinking glasses, and the festive sparkle of mid-century celebrations. Number 9. Raisin Pie. A sweet tart pie filled with plump raisins. This was an Ontario favorite in the 60s, often served at funerals, church suppers, or family reunions in rural communities. The filling was made by simmering raisins with brown sugar, a splash of vinegar, and sometimes a pinch of cinnamon, creating a glossy, sticky texture that was poured into a buttery, hand-rolled pastry crust. Mennonite and Dutch Canadian cooks would spend hours at long farmhouse tables, rolling dough with wooden pins, their aprons dusted with flour, while the kitchen warmed with the scent of baking pastry and caramelized sugar. Served in thick wedges, often with a cup of strong coffee, this pie was a comforting dish, its rich, tangy filling and flaky golden crust a symbol of community and tradition. It was especially popular in southern Ontario, where it appeared at barn raisings and harvest festivals, evoking memories of shared meals, heartfelt conversations, and the quiet strength of rural life. Number 10. Snow Pudding. This light, lemony gelatin dessert was a 50s dinner party star in urban Canada from Toronto to Vancouver. Served in delicate glass dishes with a drizzle of creamy custard sauce. Made by whipping gelatin with egg whites and lemon juice, It was chilled until it formed a fluffy, cloud-like texture, then topped with a velvety, vanilla-scented sauce made from milk, sugar, and egg yolks. Hostesses would prepare it hours in advance, their kitchens filled with the zesty scent of fresh lemons and the soft clink of glassware. Inspired by American recipes, it was a refreshing, elegant treat, often served at bridge games, ladies' luncheons, or holiday gatherings, presented on lace tablecloths with silver spoons. The airy, tart texture and the smooth custard sauce made it a sophisticated end to a meal, evoking memories of candlelit dining rooms, polite laughter, and the glamour of mid-century entertaining. Number 11. Molasses cake. This dark, sticky cake was a winter favorite in Atlantic Canada, especially in Newfoundland and Nova Scotia, where it was baked in heavy cast-iron pans and served with hot tea by the fire. Made with molasses, brown sugar, and spices like ginger, cinnamon, and cloves, it was a 60s comfort food that filled homes with a deep, bittersweet aroma. Cooks would pour thick molasses from heavy tins, the syrup glugging into chipped ceramic bowls, and mix the batter by hand, often adding chopped walnuts or candied peel for extra texture. The cake's dense, tender crumb was perfect for cold evenings, its rich flavor tied to the Maritimes' history of trade with the Caribbean, where molasses was a key import. Often served in thick slices, sometimes with a dollop of whipped cream, it was a humble yet soul-warming treat, evoking memories of stormy nights, creaking rocking chairs, and the glow of a wood stove in a cozy kitchen. Number 12. Steamed carrot pudding. A Christmas staple in the Maritimes, this dense, spiced pudding was a 50s holiday tradition, especially in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Made with grated carrots, suet, raisins, and spices like cinnamon and allspice, it was steamed for hours in a tin can or pudding mold, wrapped in cheesecloth and simmered in a pot of boiling water. Cooks would check the water level carefully, the kitchen filled with a warm, spicy aroma that mingled with the scent of pine from the Christmas tree. Served with a rich, buttery brown sugar sauce that dripped down the sides, it was often paired with a glass of mulled cider or hot tea. With roots in British holiday traditions, this pudding was a festive favorite, appearing on tables set with holly-decorated napkins. The moist, hearty texture, studded with plump raisins, and the sweet, sticky sauce made it a cozy highlight of winter celebrations, evoking memories of snowy evenings, carol singing, and family gathered around a flickering fire. Number 13. Caramel squares. These decadent squares were a 70s bake sale sensation across Canada, from small-town Manitoba to bustling Toronto. A buttery shortbread base was topped with a thick, gooey caramel layer and a glossy chocolate topping, creating a treat that was both indulgent and addictive. Moms would melt butter and brown sugar in heavy saucepans, stirring carefully as the caramel bubbled and thickened, filling the kitchen with a rich candy shop aroma that drew kids to the stove. The shortbread was pressed into square pans, baked until golden, and then layered with the warm caramel and melted chocolate, often smoothed with a spatula for a perfect finish. Served at school fundraisers, church teas, or family gatherings, these squares were a Canadian twist on British tray bakes, popular coast to coast. The snap of the chocolate layer, the chewy pull of the caramel, and the crumbly shortbread base made them impossible to resist, evoking memories of crowded community halls, paper plates, and the joy of sneaking an extra square when no one was looking. Number 15. Apple pandoti. A rustic fall favorite in Ontario farmhouses, apple pandoti was a 50s harvest staple, especially in apple-growing regions like the Annapolis Valley or Niagara. Tart apples, often hand-picked from backyard orchards, were peeled and sliced at the kitchen table, the air filled with the crisp scent of fruit and cinnamon. The apples were spiced with nutmeg and cloves, then baked under a biscuit-like crust that was dowdied, broken up, before serving to soak up the thick, syrupy juices. Cooks would knead the dough on floured boards, their hands sticky with apple juice, while the oven's warmth spread a cozy, spiced aroma through the house. Often served with a pitcher of fresh cream or a scoop of homemade ice cream, this dessert had New England roots but was embraced by Canadian settlers, appearing at Thanksgiving dinners and community suppers. The tender, caramelized apples, the crisp yet soggy crust, and the sweet, sticky juices created a comforting medley, perfect for crisp autumn evenings by a crackling fire. Number 16. Maple fudge. This silky fudge, made with real maple syrup, was a Quebec sugar shack specialty, especially during spring maple harvest in the 1950s and 60s. Cooked in heavy copper pots over open fires in rustic shacks, the mixture of maple syrup, cream, and butter was stirred with a wooden paddle until it reached a creamy, velvety consistency, then poured into trays to set into soft, golden squares. Families would gather at sugar shacks, kids with sticky fingers eagerly awaiting their share, while the sweet, woodsy aroma of boiling sap filled the air. Often wrapped in wax paper for church bazaars or tucked into Christmas gift tins, this fudge was a labor of love, requiring patience to hit the perfect texture. A celebration of Canada's iconic maple industry, it was especially tied to Quebec's rural traditions, where maple trees were tapped by hand. The fudge's melt-in-your-mouth quality and rich, earthy maple flavor made every bite a taste of springtime forests. Number 17. Tapioca pudding. This creamy, pearl-studded dessert was a 60s diner classic, served in glass bowls with a sprinkle of nutmeg. Moms would soak tapioca pearls overnight, then stir them slowly in a double boiler, the kitchen filled with the soft scent of vanilla and warm milk. A staple after meatloaf dinners or at family gatherings, it was a simple yet comforting treat, often chilled for hours in the fridge. With roots in British and American traditions, tapioca pudding was a universal Canadian favorite, found in homes from Vancouver to Halifax. The soft pop of the pearls and the smooth, velvety texture made it a nostalgic delight, evoking memories of quiet evenings and shared dessert bowls. Number 18. Partridge berry jam. Tarts in Newfoundland. These vibrant tarts were a holiday must-have, their ruby red partridge berry filling glowing like jewels in buttery pastry shells. Made with tart, local lingonberries, called partridge berries, the jam was simmered until thick, then spooned into hand-rolled dough. Grandmas would work at flour-dusted counters, their rolling pins creaking, while the oven ticked as it warmed, filling the house with a sweet tart aroma. Served at Christmas or Sunday dinners, these tarts were a Newfoundland specialty, tied to the island's British and Irish roots. The flaky golden crust gave way to a burst of tangy berry flavor, making them a festive treat that brought families together around weathered wooden tables. Number 19. Pudding chômeur. Quebec's poor man's pudding was a Depression-era gem, born in the 1930s but beloved through the 60s. A simple cake batter was poured into a sizzling maple syrup sauce, baking into a gooey, caramel-soaked dessert that filled working-class homes with a sugary hum. Cooks would mix the batter in enamel bowls, pouring it into cast-iron pans where the syrup bubbled and caramelized, creating a rich golden crust. Served warm with a spoon, it was a winter favorite in mill towns, often paired with strong coffee. This French-Canadian classic reflected the resilience of Quebec families, turning basic ingredients like flour and maple syrup into pure comfort. The sticky sweet cake and the warm, pooling syrup made every bite feel like a cozy embrace, a taste of Quebec's heart. Number 20. Date squares, known as matrimonial cake. These crumbly oat squares with a gooey date filling were a 50s tea party staple across Canada. The oats were hand-rolled and the dates were simmered into a thick, jammy paste, creating a dessert that was both rustic and refined. Housewives would layer the mixture in square pans, the kitchen buzzing with the scent of butter and brown sugar. Served on doily-lined plates at ladies' luncheons or church socials, these squares were a British baking tradition adapted with Canadian flair. The buttery crumble contrasted with the sticky, sweet date center, which often stuck to your fingers, making it a treat kids loved to sneak. Popular from coast to coast, date squares were a symbol of hospitality, their comforting texture and flavor evoking memories of warm, welcoming kitchens. These desserts were more than just sweets, they were love, comfort, and a taste of Canada's soul. From prairie potlucks to Newfoundland kitchens, they carried the stories of our grandparents, our heritage, and our home. They were baked in ovens that ticked like clocks, served on tables worn smooth by years of family meals and shared with laughter and love. Which of these forgotten treats do you remember? Maybe your family had a secret recipe for butter tarts or a special twist on figgy duff. Share it in the comments below and let's keep these traditions alive. Subscribe for more nostalgic Canadian stories, and until next time, keep baking, keep sharing, and keep savoring the sweetness of the past.